You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, we'll hear from area residents on what tradition they have for the new year.
Also, Pittsburgh first responders rescue a woman who was trapped in her burning home.
Plus, we're getting cold. Plus, a little snow chance coming up later this weekend.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Elise Snowy.
And I'm Lindsay Gaffney, and it is 7 o'clock on January 1st, 2025.
Yes.
A great start to the new year. We're working. We're up and at 'em. Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed.
It's a great way to start the new year if you think about it.
I mean, yeah, we're early birds. Early bird gets the worm. I'm using all the phrases this morning.
And hopefully your morning and your start of 2025 is going well and off to a great start. And last night was New Year's Eve. Lots of celebrations, and with New Year's Eve comes some annual traditions. And one popular tradition is to watch or set off fireworks.
KOAM's Melissa Alexis spoke to some people about how their New Year's Eve traditions.
Many people have an annual New Year's Eve tradition they like to follow, like making black-eyed peas for dinner, eating 12 grapes at midnight, or even spending the holiday with loved ones.
The tradition on New Year's Eve is spending time with my family,
Which happens to be 4th grader Brady Strukel's favorite way to spend the holiday.
It's my uncle. He comes down and I really never get to see him, and that's just a special time for me.
Another New Year's Eve tradition is watching or setting off fireworks, which is why the seasonal fireworks store, Central City Fireworks in Joplin, is open.
A huge U.S. tradition, but especially in our area, there's not a lot of public displays for fireworks. So we do have a lot of customers that want to come in and shoot them off themselves.
Something she wants to remind people as people are purchasing fireworks to celebrate New Year's Eve is to remember safety precautions.
Make sure you brace them up when you light them. You can put a concrete block on either side of them. You can stake them with some rebar.
According to the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, over 9,000 people were treated at emergency rooms for injuries involving fireworks in 2023. Which is why the manager at Central City Fireworks takes specific safety measures when she sets off fireworks.
At our celebrations is we put a barrier between us and the crowd, whether that be a table turned on its side or a piece of plywood, just some kind of barrier. If something would happen and it'd get away and tip over, it would hit the barrier instead of the crowd.
She says while Central City Fireworks tends to see a bigger influx of customers during the 4th of July, fireworks are also a great way to celebrate New Year's Eve.
It's fun, it's an adrenaline rush, it's exciting, it's beautiful. Fireworks are just fun.
Reporting in Joplin, Melissa Alexis, KOAM News.
Well, coming up later on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, our very own Lonnie Walton tells us more about another New Year's tradition and making and sticking to those New Year's resolutions.
I have not even come up with a New Year's resolution yet.
I know throughout the morning we've kind of been talking about them, but neither of us really have one.
I'm gonna figure it out by the end of the today.
Yeah.
I'll find at least one, because I think if you have just one, then you can really stick to it.
Okay, I'll hold you to that.
I'm gonna hold myself to that. Now, what I'm most excited about in the coming new year is the weather chances that we're going to see in the next couple of weeks. Especially, we have a couple of snow chances. So let's go ahead and take a look outside. We're starting off the morning in the mid to upper 20s. So it is a cold start to our new year. You can take a look outside in Rangeline, Pittsburgh, Joplin. It is clouds clearing, looking pretty good to start off our day. And temperatures 27 in Joplin, 27 in Pittsburgh, 23 in Yates Center and Iola, 30 in Grove, so not so bad. Further south, 29 in Bella Vista. Winds out of the northeast, or northwest, excuse me, and that's going to continue for most of the morning. Now, clouds are starting to clear, so we are going to have a pretty nice sunny day today. And then we see temperatures warming up because of the sun. We're getting a little bit warmer with temperatures warming up through the 30s and a high of mid to lower 40s. It's going to be sunny, still a little chilly, but this is about average for what we should be seeing this time of year. Now, pretty calm weather pattern for the next couple of days, but as we head into the weekend, we are seeing our first potential winter storm. Starting off with a little bit of ice chances, about 1/4 of an inch to 1/10 of an inch in the northeast, and then snow chances even. So we're seeing the possibility of a little bit of ice on top of some rain chances and freezing rain with 1/10 of an inch of snow to 1/2 an inch in the central and southern counties, and then above an inch to even pushing 5 inches of snow in the northern counties. So we could see a good amount of winter precipitation as we head into the system. The confidence right now is still a little bit low. It's trending a little bit further north in the last couple of model runs. So we're going to keep an eye on it as we head into the weekend, but this could cause some pretty dangerous driving conditions. So it's something definitely to be paying attention to. But I'll have a closer look and a bit of a breakdown on what you can expect this weekend coming up.
All right, Lindsay, thanks. Authorities respond to an SUV and motorcycle crash outside of Carl Junction. The crash took place around 2 p.m. Monday at the four-way stop at the intersection of Lone Elm and Fountain Road. Authorities say the Chevy Tahoe, driven by a 16-year-old, failed to yield to the motorcycle. The 33-year-old Joplin woman driving the motorcycle suffered serious injuries. EMS transported her to a local hospital, and she has since been transferred to Springfield for a higher level of care. And first responders save a woman from a house fire in Pittsburgh. The report came in around 4 in the afternoon on Monday when a caller said she was still in the residence. Pittsburgh police arrived first on the scene and forced entry into the home in an attempt to find the woman. Pittsburgh Fire Department arrived shortly after and managed to remove the woman to safety. The woman received minor injuries but was treated at the scene before being released. Responders contained the fire to the room of origin and extinguished it without any structural damage or fire spread. And those are our top news stories this half hour. Coming up next, Republicans are making a push to extend President-elect Trump's tax cuts before he takes office. And later, we'll see how the legacy of President Jimmy Carter impacted Habitat for Humanity. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Well, topping Nation Watch this morning. Travelers should double check more than their luggage before boarding a flight in 2025. Beginning in early May, passengers will need a real ID to fly across the U.S. The Real ID Act was passed after the 9/11 attacks, now requiring driver's licenses and state-issued IDs to meet certain security protocols. Travelers may already have a Real ID compliant document and not know it, since states have been issuing them to individuals for years. A gold or black star on a state-issued ID passes as a Real ID. Now, flyers who are missing a Real ID can go to their local Department of Motor Vehicle to find out what papers they need to get one. The Real ID rule will be effective starting May 7th of 2025. Well, China is denying the nation's involvement in the hacking of the U.S. Treasury Department. The U.S. agency has accused Chinese hackers of remotely accessing workstations and unclassified documents after compromising a third-party software service provider. A Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson denied the allegations yesterday and reaffirmed the country's opposition to all forms of hacking. The spokesperson also called the accusations groundless, saying, quote, "We are even more opposed to the dissemination of false information against China for political purposes. The U.S. is investigating the most recent event as a major cybersecurity incident." Well, one of President-elect Trump's top priorities when he takes office will be to extend his 2017 tax cuts before they expire at the end of the year. Republicans argue if the measure is not re-upped, costs will go to taxpayers. Grady Trimble is at the White House with the story.
Exactly 1 year from today, key provisions of the tax cuts President-elect Trump ushered in during his first term will expire, setting the stage for a battle on Capitol Hill in the new year to extend them. House Ways and Means Committee Chair Jason Smith getting out ahead of the fight. He claims letting the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act lapse would mean a big tax hike for everyday Americans, on average a 22% increase. Smith writes, Congress needs to act swiftly to take this threat of a tax hike off the table and give the American people assurances that the relief they have been demanding has arrived. Trump promised on the campaign trail to make the cuts permanent, and House Republicans agree it's a top priority. House Speaker Mike Johnson puts it high on his legislative list if he wins re-election later this week.
We are going to restore our stature on the world stage, get our energy policy fixed, make sure that we don't have the largest tax cut in U.S. history imposed upon the American people at the end of next year when the tax cuts from the Trump era expire.
Elon Musk is weighing in on the tax debate, posting on X that the tax tax code needs drastic simplification, but Democrats argue extending the Trump tax cuts will only help people like him. Senate President Pro Tem Patty Murray saying Republicans want to expand the Trump tax cuts, adding $4.6 trillion to our national debt and give massive handouts to billionaires. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget did find that extending the Trump tax cuts would add trillions of dollars to the national debt over the next 10 years. It already sits at $36 trillion. But Republicans point to recent Treasury Department data, which shows tax revenues are up some 45% from November of 2017 to now.
Well, we're starting off the new year pretty cold, but calm weather pattern until this weekend when we start to see our first big winter system moving in. That could be coming in early on Saturday evening, switching over to a little bit of an ice storm and then possibly snow chances getting up to 6 inches in the northern counties, but for their central and southern counties, only up to about maybe an inch to a tenth of an inch. So not a ton of snow for most of us, but we do see that potential for ice accumulation as well through earlier in the system. That's going to continue and drop our temperatures pretty drastically for highs for the following week, only getting up into the low 30s and the lows in the teens. So we have that to look forward to. Until then, temperatures are going to be pretty mild, bouncing around in the 40s until Saturday. Well, taking a look at downtown Pittsburgh, clouds are starting to clear out, but temperatures are still going to be pretty cold over the next couple of hours before we start to warm up for the day. Overall, though, today is looking pretty good. Sunny skies return. We have a pretty calm weather pattern for the next couple of days with temperatures kind of bouncing around in the 40s and mostly sunny skies, though we do have a little bit of a cloudy day tomorrow. Temperature trend for the last 36 hours, we had our cold front that came through just before New Year's Eve, and that dropped our temperatures to about average for this time of year yesterday. Highs in the low 40s. The same thing today, so we're kind of being consistent with average temperatures until we hit this weekend. So looking at our future track, we have mostly sunny skies, temperatures starting off in the mid to upper 20s, warming up to the low 40s, and then we have a warm front coming in later on tonight. So it's 7:30, we have some clouds pushing in along with winds shifting out of the southwest. That's going to bring our temperatures up a little bit as we head into Thursday. Like I said, little cloudy, overcast skies with temperatures warming up to the upper 40s, so only warms up by 5 degrees. Now, clouds also are a part of the cold front that's going to be moving in later in the morning. So you can see where the winds shift just outside of Wichita into Kansas City. Few rain shower chances kind of sprinkled across our northeast. Some of these showers could trickle all the way down to Fort Scott, Nevada, Stockton area, but really it's going to stay mostly north of us. So we're mostly staying dry, overcast skies still on Thursday, and then clouds start to break up as we head into the evening with winds back out of the north. So it's going to be another cold day on Friday. Temperatures are going to start off again in the lower 30s, upper 20s, with highs getting into the lower 40s. Now, the big system is coming up this weekend, and it could potentially have some pretty dangerous driving conditions and our first big winter system of the year, especially coming in right after the new year. It's definitely going to drop our temperatures, but the confidence on what type of precipitation we're going to get is still relatively low at this time. So let's walk through the future track. 12:30, we're still having maybe a few isolated showers, kind of switching on over to a little bit of a sleet, freezing rain mixture there. And then heading into the evening, temperatures are a little bit still warmer in the low 40s, upper 30s until that low pressure system moves through, where we're switching on over to just ice, sleet, freezing rain in the early morning hours, overnight hours, and early morning hours. And then after that low pressure system passes and the cold front shifts with winds out of the north, we're switching just to snow. So that's going to be coming in late Sunday, in the afternoon, morning, early afternoon. Light snow, especially in the northeast, and then it starts to clear out by late Sunday evening. We might still see a few flurries sticking around early Monday morning, but really most of this should be passed by the time we start off our week. Now, the main issue is going to be, I think schools are returning come Monday morning. On top of that, just starting driving with rain and possible ice chances, the roads could be pretty hazardous with ice on the ground and then a little layer of snow on top of that. So actual ice falling from the sky, only about 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch. Where we see rain further south, that's going to freeze overnight. So it's still going to be ice pretty much for all of us. And then we head into the snow chances later on Sunday, where we're seeing about 1/10 of an inch of snow in the southern counties, 1/2 an inch of snow in the central counties, and then up to 2 to 5, maybe even 6 inches of snow in the northern counties. So we're seeing the chance of quite a bit of winter mixture precipitation Sunday and Monday especially. That could just cause some major issues. And then after that, temperatures drop down with highs only in the low 30s for the rest of the week, and even a few more snow chances coming up in the next couple of weeks after that. So until then, we're going to enjoy these temperatures in the 40s before we get even colder in the next couple of weeks. Let's look at forecast. We'll be right back.
Former President Jimmy Carter's legacy is being honored by Austin's Habitat for Humanity in 2025. The city will host the Jimmy and Rosalind Carter Work Project.
Beyond politics, President Carter spent much of his time with Habitat for Humanity.
We were all heartbroken.
Austin Habitat CEO Michelle Anderson says the news of the passing of former U.S. President Jimmy Carter was saddening, but the branch has one thing in mind next year.
Determined to honor his legacy of being a humanitarian and caring about the community.
The former president died Sunday at his home in Georgia, but leaves behind a legacy of community service, including with Habitat for Humanity.
I'm very grateful to that because he's helped over 12 million people throughout all these different countries. That has afforded us the place to live.
Ginger Hudson is someone who's been touched by the work that Habitat for Humanity does. Because of the Austin program, she was able to move into a new home back in 2014.
Now that I have an affordable home, I can enjoy other things in life, like a car payment, taking small trips, going to the grocery store.
In 2025, Austin Habitat looks to bring more of that, helping people. And in October, the city of Austin will host the Jimmy and Rosalind Carter Work Project.
We are just as honored as we can be to be able to host in 2025.
Anderson says it'll be the perfect way to honor President Carter's legacy.
We'll have over 4,000 people. In the last week in October, over 800 people a day out there building 25 homes.
Now, according to Anderson and Austin Habitat, those 25 homes will go up in East Travis County in the Whisper Valley area.
That's really just amazing stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, and he'll be missed. Well, coming up, the start of a new year could mean a fresh start for your mental health. We'll have a few tips that you can use to help you this new year.
And coming up later on, we're going to talk about the cold air moving in, plus a bit of an Arctic blast heading into the weekend. We'll be right back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:28. I'm Elise Snowy. There's some breaking news out of New Orleans this morning. New Orleans Police Department is on the scene of a major incident on Bourbon Street. Now, we're told that there are possibly several casualties after a car plowed into a group of people. Police say at least 10 people may be dead and at least 30 were injured. Multiple EMS units are on the scene, according to NOPD. No other information is available at this time. This is a developing story, and updates will be provided as more information becomes available. Authorities in Afton, Oklahoma want to thank the public for tips they provided concerning an incident involving excessive dumping. Now, the incident, which led to the removal of a dumpster from behind the Afton City Hall, took place last week. Trash on Friday had piled over the dumpster until the excess piled up around the area. Now, trash services were unable to empty the dumpster as the area was too piled up with garbage to get near it. Authorities believe this man is responsible for dumping on the grounds around the dumpster. Afton police are asking the public to please contact them if they have any information regarding either of the men in the photo. Well, we each hope for blessings and success in 2025 and strive to endure challenges. KOAM's Lonnie Walton spoke with some folks at the North Park Mall in Joplin who hope to do just that.
My New Year's resolution is to beat cancer.
Joe Erie is a 40-year-old father from Kansas. Right now, he's battling testicular cancer, the one he says should be the easiest cancer to fight, but unfortunately, not for him.
Keep getting better, but it keeps coming back. But I fall into 2%.
We also met Jonathan Fleshman, who says he's also battling his own demons.
A recovering addict that's been struggling for a very long time.
And he admits he's made a few mistakes.
Wrong people, wrong places.
But his mother is doing what most look forward to doing in the new year.
My New Year's resolution, I've lost 140 pounds so far. Walk to get healthier.
Yep, and as you may know, that's number 1 on the resolution list.
Exercise, eat healthy.
My New Year's resolution this year is to lose some weight.
Just eat better in general.
And I guess you can imagine what's on the younger minds these days. School.
Hoping to get good grades this year. New Year's resolution is to not fail all my classes like I did this year.
To graduate on time.
Basically like graduate.
Is to graduate on time.
And with that said, both Erie and Fleshman says they have a few words for those battling demons.
My faith in Christ.
And if you don't have a family, at least find God, because that's where it's at.
And that was the biggest advice from these Joplin residents, to never lose hope and never give up. Reporting in Joplin, I'm Lonnie Walton, KOAM News.
According to a Forbes poll, New Year's resolutions last only about 3 months on average. And just like the national polls, most folks Lonnie spoke with said they have struggled to keep their previous resolutions. Let's head over to Lindsay now with a quick look at your forecast.
Well, temperatures are going to be pretty cool for the next couple of days and even into next week. Clouds start to clear though as we head into the morning. New Year's Day is looking pretty sunny, pretty nice. Temperatures though are pretty cold right now. 27 Joplin, Pittsburgh, 23 in the 8 Center and Iola. So we are starting off a bit cooler. Now, as clouds clear, we're looking good. We've got a pretty calm weather pattern for the next couple of days, so we're just going to be consistently warming up into the 40s and then dropping back down into the lower 30s, upper 20s. That continues until Saturday. So we start off a little cloudy still. Clouds clear by about 10 a.m. and then we're looking pretty good highs in the low 40s, about 43 for our high today. Sunny skies, but still a little chillier. This is about average. Now, we're heading into the weekend, and this is where we're going to see our first big winter weather event. We start off as rain with a little bit of a freezing rain and sleet mix, and then heading into Sunday, when that front passes, winds out of the north, dropping those temperatures pretty quickly, we switch over to mostly just snow and maybe still a little bit of ice sticking around. So that's going to be what we can expect as we head into the weekend, is our first big winter system. And snow amounts total up to maybe 6 inches in the north as a max, and then quickly diminish as we head further south. About 1 inch to 2 inches in those central and northern counties, and then 1/2 inch to 1/10 of an inch in the southern counties. So not a ton of snow, but still our first big snow of the year, and we're going to keep an eye on it. Things could change, but driving conditions are going to be our main concern with this system as we start off Monday morning. But I'll have a breakdown and a full look coming up.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. Well, many of us make resolutions heading into the new year to better ourselves, but we also find those resolutions are often abandoned after a few short weeks. Jeff Wagner has more on how to tackle the resolution of how to better your mental health.
Dave Johnson is on his way to ease his mind. Inside his home is a calming space to meditate. Johnson has anxiety, a disorder that intensified during the COVID-19 pandemic. He works in public health.
Being completely overwhelmed by work and family and just feeling like there wasn't any way out.
Molly Peterson is the director of adult programs for Minnesota's National Alliance on Mental Illness.
I don't think that enough people are saying, I really want to improve my mental well-being in the new year. They want to do better in their job, they want to do better on their weight.
But specifically focusing on mental health can be easy and attainable.
As you mentioned, meditation, and that's a great one because it's literally forcing you to just kind of sit in the present moment and not have racing thoughts and negative self-talk.
Here's some tips to get started in the new year. Use an app. as they can guide beginners on how to meditate. Create a space in your home to designate as the meditation area. Set an attainable goal for how often you'll do it. Lastly, find an accountability partner, either someone to meditate with you or gently remind you to stay on track.
It gives me the option of choosing, do I want to continue following anxiety thoughts, or do I want to do something else?
Ultimately, his recipe to better manage it included medication, changing therapists, and making meditation a more integral part of his life. Jeff Wagner, CBS News, Minneapolis.
To get help in crafting your resolution, no matter the goal, NAMI has some advice, and you can visit their website at NAMI.org. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAF Morning News. A Texas teen spreads a little holiday cheer by handing out gifts in her community. In Consumer Watch this morning, well, 2024 was a year to remember for stock investors with a slew of daily record closes for the major indexes. For the year, the Dow gained a healthy 12% and the tech-heavy NASDAQ composite roared ahead with a close to 30% rise. And the S&P gained more than 23% last year. It's the first time since the late 1990s that the S&P has seen back-to-back gains of more than 20% for the year. Well, Bitcoin, meanwhile, saw a stellar year, and Bitcoin was trading at just over $40,000 a piece at the start of 2024. The price surged to a milestone $100,000 early last month, but by New Year's Eve, the volatile cryptocurrency stood above $90,000. In 2010, it was trading around just $40. And the new year may bring more relief for drivers at the pump, according to a new forecast. In its 2025 fuel outlook, Gas Buddy says it expects fuel prices to continue easing in 2025. After averaging $3.33 in 2024, the national average for a gallon of regular is forecast at $3.22 this year, according to Gas Buddy data. Finance experts are sounding the alarm over a new report showing credit card loan defaults soared this year. And despite the warning, consumers were on track to crush holiday spending records. Fox Business Network's Jeff Locke takes a look from New York.
Just like the federal government, Americans seem to be unable to stop spending above their means. Take a look at the latest numbers on the amount of credit card debt that banks are writing down now is unrecoverable. The total is $46 billion over the first 3 quarters of 2024. That's an increase of 50% year over year, and it is the highest rate since the recession back in 2008. Delinquency rates vary depending on where you are in the country. States with the highest delinquency rates topping the list: Nevada, almost 13%, Florida, Arkansas, and Texas, also with 1 in 10 credit card users unfortunately delinquent on their payments. We have certainly now a lot more credit than we used to. Now the average household has 5 credit cards and $10,000 in debt. All told, it comes to about $1 trillion that we are now in debt to the credit card companies. Christmas, of course, made it more difficult. 36% of those surveyed said they spent more than they had at Christmas and consequently piled up debt. 60% of those surveyed said they were stressed about it. And 42%, a full 42%, say they regret the spending they did over Christmas. And of course, the bottom line on using credit cards is that if you carry a balance, you pay interest. How much have we paid interest in the last year? Well, the number is $170 billion with a B dollars. And of course, at the federal level, that's exactly what we're doing too. So we seem to be following the example of our federal government, not in a good way.
And to look at our top consumer stories, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Well, taking a look at downtown Pittsburgh, clouds are starting to clear out. for a pretty sunny New Year's Day. Once that happens, temperatures are going to warm up to the low 40s today. Overall, it's going to be a nice day and a nice couple of days. A bit of a cloudy Thursday, but the next couple of days will be mostly calm weather conditions. We had a good little cold front come through on Monday evening just before New Year's Eve, which dropped our temperatures from a low 60s to the low 40s on Tuesday. Now, low 40s is about average what we should be, with the lows in the low 30s and upper 20s. That's pretty consistent to what we should be seeing this time of year. Taking a look at our future track, we have clouds clearing out, mostly sunny skies, winds out of the north, and temperatures warming up to the low 40s today, with a warm front moving in later on this evening. So about 7:30, we're going to start to see those winds shifting, clouds kind of pushing in, and then those clouds will continue to push in over the next several hours into early Thursday morning. By mid-morning, we're starting to see another wind shift with winds out of the north following a cold front. Now, most of the rain chances are isolated to northeast of us. However, Fort Scott, Nevada, Stockton area could see a couple of those rain showers kind of trickling down from Kansas City. And then those winds shift, and we're going to see a bit of a cooler Friday after that. Now, clouds break again, so Friday is going to be a mostly sunny day with temperatures back into the lower 40s. So, like I said, about average for this time of year. Now, that is until Saturday. We're seeing our first big winter weather system moving through. Confidence is still a little bit low just for how much snow and ice we could see. However, we are still expecting this system to be moving in Saturday, especially Saturday evening. Could start to see maybe a few isolated light showers popping up earlier in the day, but most of the heavier precipitation holding off until the evening. So taking a look, 11:30 p.m. starting to see some rain showers in our central and southern counties, mixing with a little bit of a sleet and freezing rain mixture there, till we get into the later evening hours, where we're starting to switch over just to a sleet and freezing rain mix. So a lot of ice coming in and could be potentially impacting road conditions, especially with rain already falling on the surface, temperatures dropping down below freezing. We could see a lot of ice on the roads as we move into Sunday and Monday. But Sunday morning, that low pressure system moving through, winds out of the north, and temperatures will drop pretty quickly following that. So highs only getting into the upper 30s, dropping back down below freezing by 8 p.m. Still a little snow, maybe a few flurries still sticking around into the overnight hours. And then we're back to mostly sunny skies as we head into Monday. So the amount of ice we could see potentially, like I said, this is still a little bit low. We're still seeing some changes, but as of right now, trending a little bit further south, or north, but about 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch of ice falling from the sky. But then again, rain chances could freeze overnight. So ice on the ground is still going to be pretty expected. And then snow chances, 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch in our southern counties, 1/4 of an inch to an inch in our central counties, and then above 2 inches to even 6 inches just in our far northern counties. So we could expect to see a good amount of ice and a good amount of snow with this system, which again could impact driving conditions Sunday and Monday. So it's a big concern as we head into the weekend. Until then, temperatures are going to be bouncing around in the 40s all week, the rest of the weekend into Saturday, and then following that system dropping through the low 30s. So it's going to be a pretty cold system, so a cold couple of weeks before we start to warm back up to about average. Now that's a look at your forecast. We'll be right back.
A 13-year-old girl in Huntington has been making people smile in her community for the past 4 years with gifts that she calls Smiles by Tatiana.
Vanessa Johnson takes us on one of her distributions.
It's time for Smiles, which is how it got named Smiles by Tatiana.
That's too cute. That's put on my keyring. Receiving a small gift, or at least the act of giving it, in an attempt to brighten someone's day. That's what 13-year-old Tatiana of Huntington aims to achieve with Smiles by Tatiana. She and her family pass out small objects or notes, also known as smiles. But it all started when she was 8 at a Brookshire Brothers.
There was an older lady who you could definitely tell was having a rough day. Tati had just used her last quarter to get one of those little trinkets and asked if she could give it to the lady to give her a smile. And the lady, of course, told us her story, and it just brightened her day because she was having a bad day, and it just went from there, and we just continued it.
They pass out smiles at different times of the year. This time, it was roses and snowmen for the holidays.
The roses are for like the older ones, and then the snowman represents the Christmas time.
Tatiana says she doesn't have a reason for when it's time or who she gives them to, but that she knows she has to do it.
Just to make people feel better and make their day better.
The smiles are all hands on deck. A family operation, you could say.
Her siblings, her dad, all of us pitches in, whether it be the finance side of it or the putting together side of it.
Tatiana's mom, Rebecca Burton, says she's glad she has kept the smiles going for so long.
She's always had a big heart, and it just shows her personality, and it just gets her out in the community. If it makes her smile, it makes other people smile. So it's just something we'll continue until she's ready to stop.
Well, that's just amazing. I think one act of kindness can definitely send like a ripple effect through a community.
Absolutely.
So just by doing something like that, it could really just impact so much.
Absolutely. Very, very sweet to see.
Well, what's not sweet to see are these colder temperatures. We've been talking about it all morning, how cold it is outside. Unfortunately, it doesn't stop there because this weekend we do have another front coming through. That's going to bring ice, snow, and high temperatures in the lower 30s. So it's going to be pretty cold. Starting with the ice chances, as that system passes, we could see some freezing rain and sleet. However, with the rain already moving through just before the ice comes in and overnight lows freezing, ice on the roads are going to be a big impact. And then pair that with a little bit of snow patted on top of the ice. We could see 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch in the southern counties, 1/4 of an inch to about an inch in the central counties, and then 2 inches to 6 inches of snow in some of the northern counties. So this is a little bit far away. This is coming up on Saturday night and Sunday. We're still a little bit of ways away, but could really impact some driving conditions Sunday and Monday. Following that, though, temperatures are going to stay cold down in the lower 30s with overnight lows in the teens. So it's going to be pretty cold, at least for the next 2 to 3 weeks before we start to see about average temperatures returning to our area. So for the next couple of days, we're going to be about average with sunny skies. I say enjoy it while it lasts. That's a look at your forecast. We'll be right back.
Well, here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. First responders save a woman from a house fire in Pittsburgh late Monday afternoon. The woman received minor injuries but was treated at the scene before being released. Responders contained the fire to the room of origin and extinguished it without any structural damage or fire spread. And authorities respond to a collision between an SUV and motorcycle outside of Carl Junction. The crash took place around 2 p.m. Monday at the four-way stop at the intersection of Lone Elm and Fountain Road. The 33-year-old Joplin woman driving the motorcycle suffered serious injuries. EMS transported her to a local hospital and later Springfield. Authorities in Afton, Oklahoma want to thank the public for tips they've provided concerning an incident involving excessive dumping. Authorities believe this man is responsible for dumping on the grounds around the dumpster. Afton police are asking the public to please contact them if they have any information regarding either of the men in the photo.
And temperatures for the next couple of days are going to be about average, bouncing around in the 40s. A little bit warmer on Thursday with a slight chance for a rain shower in the northeast, but really we're mostly just going to stay overcast skies. Now Friday we drop back down with sunny skies, and then heading into the weekend we've got a big winter system that could potentially drop ice and snow for us both Saturday night, Sunday, and early Monday. And then after that, temperatures are consistently well below average, at or below freezing for the highs and teens in the lows.
That's certainly a way to start off the new year.
Oh, I mean, it really is, but it's a little long overdue. We were in the 60s just Monday.
Oh, and I'm going to miss it, I think, a lot sooner than later. Well, hundreds gathered in Hong Kong on Saturday to watch the city's first pyrotechnics drone show as part of a campaign to raise support and awareness of panda conservation.
The 10-minute drone show featured 1,000 drones, some of which were equipped with fireworks, flying over Hong Kong's Victoria Harbor and forming images of the city's giant pandas.
Incredible. Look at that. Wow.
I wish I could have seen that in person. That seems awesome. I did see, I I saw clips of it
Right.
online, and it did look super,
Yes.
just so fun.
Unbelievable. Look at all of that. Super cool. Super fun.
Oh, well, thanks so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather at noon.
Have a great rest of your morning.